Welcome, everybody, to the A Little Less Fear podcast. I'm your producer and host of the show, Dr. Lino Martinez. This is your motivational podcast of people's incredible journeys. Oh, yeah, let's do this. Welcome back, everybody, to the A Little Less Fear podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lino Martinez, and today I am super duper excited to introduce Dr. Eric Recker. He's a dentist, a husband, a father, and a keynote speaker, elite success coach, author, pilot, mountain climber, and recovering triathlete. In his second half of life, he is committed to helping people shorten the distance to becoming their best version and learning how to win the now. I love winning the now, and I'd love to know where you got this from and what it means to you. Welcome to A Little Less Fear podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Dr. Lino. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So awesome. So you're in the state of Iowa, huh?
I sure am. Yep. And Iowa so far this year has a record that you do not want to have. We are leading the nation in tornadoes.
Oh my goodness.
It has been a rough weather year so far for us, but hopefully that's behind us.
You know, I've actually never ever been in tornado weather. I don't even know what that's like. I've watched movies, the movie Twister. Do you remember that movie Twister? That was incredible.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that was a great movie.
That was filmed in Iowa. So
it was?
Oh yeah. Yep. And if you see where there's a scene where they're going down some really steep hills. Yes. I've ridden my bike on those hills in a triathlon actually at one point, and it was kind of eerie to think that that's what happened there. But tornadoes are so unpredictable. You just don't know when they're gonna, when the conditions are right and there's some warning, but you don't know. And there's no rhyme or reason, just a real big reminder of the illusion of us being in control.
Holy moly. That's really incredible that movie was filmed there too as well. Wow. That's incredible. Well, welcome to the show. So you're a dentist. This is incredible. Could you give us at least one recommendation, Mr. Dentist? How about this? How often should we be flossing? How about that?
Well, that's a good question because I get asked that a lot. I actually get asked what is the right kind of floss to use.
Okay.
And my answer has changed to whichever kind of floss you will use. So I don't care how you clean in between your teeth, whether it's a water pick or floss or picks or whatever you use, just do it. I don't care what the best way to do it is. It's the way that you're actually going to do it.
It's the same. Thank you for that. Is that the same for toothbrushes? Does it matter if it's a soft brush, bristle brush, or
soft brush for sure? Super important, and definitely an electric brush.
Soft electric brush. Okay. What about this charcoal infused stuff?
I'm not a huge fan of introducing free radicals into my body, and activated charcoal is an unstable free radical compound, so I don't put that in my body.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for those tips.
Yeah, there's a lot of marketing behind it. So
yeah, I thought so. Yeah, they had like bamboo toothbrushes infused with charcoal. I even tried it back in the day. I'm like, this isn't, I don't know about this, so I stopped it.
Yep. I'm not a huge fan.
Hey, so tell us about Win the Now. I mean, what brought us to the current journey that you're at today? I know it's a loaded question, but I mean, whatever comes to your mind, spill it to us, give it to us.
So I could give you the short 3-hour version if that works, if we have 3 hours to do this.
Oh, wow. Yeah, all right.
I'll hit a few highlights, then we can go down whatever rabbit trail you want to go down. So
got it.
Everything started when I was on the playground, recess playground in Iowa in the early 80s. It started on the recess kickball field, and I was told that I wasn't good enough to play. Right now, I'm 6'5". I'm very athletic. I've accomplished most of the things I wanted to do. But in second and third grade, I was what you would call husky. I was rough around the edges. I was one of the youngest people in my class, so I wasn't very coordinated. And so I was told that I wasn't good enough to play recess kickball. It would have been fine. It would have been tough, but fine if I would have been picked last, but I was told that I couldn't play. And I was told I couldn't play because I wasn't good enough. And I remember, and this is something, you and I talked about meditation and seeking truth and all of that kind of stuff. This is something that's only been kind of revealed to me in the last few years as I've gone back and tried to figure out why I am the way that I am. But I was told I wasn't good enough. And so as I was watching my peers play kickball, and that's all I wanted to do, I just wanted to get a chance so I could make that kick and people would think I was good enough. I told myself that I was going to be so freaking good at everything that I ever did that no one would ever not pick me. That's a bold statement to make to yourself as a
Definitely.
second or third
Oh,
grader.
yeah.
And so it led to nothing ever being good enough. So it wasn't good enough for me to be good in school. I had to be amazing in school. When I was in dental school, it wasn't good enough that I was in the top 15. I had to be in the top 10. And then my dental degree wasn't enough. So I have advanced dental degrees. Then I started running all the way through marathon. That wasn't enough. All the way triathlon. I started doing that all the way through Ironman triathlon. That was not enough. And I didn't know that I was searching for this enough
Mm-hmm.
until I was going to do the Leadville 100 mountain bike race. And that's if you don't know, that's 100 miles all above 9,500 feet of
Oh
elevation.
my goodness.
Yeah, in Leadville, Colorado. And
Wow.
so what we did is we drove out to Leadville. The race was going to be on Saturday. We got out there on Tuesday, and Iowa is at 800 feet of elevation. It's not very high. So we got out there, and the next day we hiked a 14er because that's what you do, right? You just get up in the morning after you've been sleeping in a camper and you hike up 14,000 feet. And so I
Absolutely.
remember standing on top of that mountain and the realization hit me. If you don't know why you're climbing the mountain, you're not going to find the answer at the top. And it was just crystal clear to me and so much made sense. My burnout at work made sense. My burnout in life made sense. All of it made sense because I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. I was operating on the "you are not good enough" operating system,
Right.
and I had not hit the updates. My body needed to be updated to the new version, to the new version, to the new version, but I was still stuck on that broken software, or as John Acuff likes to call it, a broken soundtrack that I just kept repeating to myself over and over. So, and we can go more into the burnout journey. Obviously, all of these things that I did, it was a recipe for extreme burnout. And I actually faced burnouts pretty seriously 3 times in my dental career, including chest pain, heart palpitations, and panic attacks, on the floor, unable to move, panic attacks. And we got to the point during all of this was kind of coming to a head when COVID hit. My family was supposed to go to Spain for spring break. It was going to be amazing. We were going to stay on the coast. We were going to take a day trip to Morocco and do all this really cool stuff. And then obviously COVID canceled that. So what I really did is it was this thing that I like to call the false sense of urgency. When COVID hit, my schedule was gone. I couldn't see patients unless they were emergencies. Everything got tipped upside down, and I had something I had never had before, and that was discretionary time. I
Yeah, what do you
decided
do with
that,
your time now, especially when you've been on the go, 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 searching for something that you didn't even know what you were searching for, and now there's nothing to search for. So what do you do now?
yeah, absolutely. So I had a couple options. One was death by webinar. I had never done a Zoom webinar before COVID, and then there's all this information just coming at me all the time, and I knew I needed some quiet. So I had never been good at quiet, but I committed to 30 minutes of quiet a day. So in the midst of all this noise, I'm going to be quiet for 30 minutes a day. The first
Doctor
day,
Doctor Recker, I have to ask about this really quick before you continue.
yeah,
You told yourself that you're gonna allow yourself to have 30 minutes a day.
yes.
How did you conclude this? I mean, after being on, I mean, hustle bustle, on the go, go, go. How did that message come through? How did you feel into that?
Yeah, it just hit me that there was going to be, in this time of so much uncertainty, there was going to be noise coming at us like crazy. All kinds of noise, social media noise, news noise,
Uh-huh. Right.
all the stuff that we have, and it still comes at us now, but I knew it was going to be like a runaway train coming right at us.
Okay.
And I knew I needed to find some peace in that. And my mind was just spinning so much that I knew the only way I could find peace, I knew a way that I could find peace would be through quiet. And so that's how I came to that. 30 minutes was arbitrary.
Oh yeah.
I just knew it, but most people, when they start with quiet, they start with 2 minutes,
Right. Yeah.
5 minutes, 10 minutes. And, you understand this about me already. I go big or go home, right? So,
Right. Right.
so I did 30 minutes. Well, day one, I closed my eyes and tried to be quiet. And after what felt like 30 minutes, I looked at my watch and I was 46 seconds into it. So I thought, I've got a lot of work to do. And there I committed to doing that for 8 weeks, or doing that until my dental practice opened back up, which ended up being 8 weeks. I started setting a timer so I didn't have to worry about what time it was. I just got comfortable and got into that quiet. And after a couple days, the clarity of thought that I had was something I had never had in my life before. It was amazing. I could get my mind, I could just let thoughts go. I learned to not be judgmental about my thoughts. I learned to, if I needed to stop and write something down, so I had it. And in the midst of all of that, I realized that I had been living a double life. My feet had been in one place and my mind had been in another place. And I knew that I needed to be where my feet were if I was going to live the life that I wanted to live, and if I was going to live the life that my family wanted me to live. Because if I was at home, my mind was at the office. If I was training for a race, I was feeling guilty about not being home. I was just never in the same place with my whole body. And that's where the concept of Win the Now came to me.
I love how you said this right now, that you were never in the same place as your body. When I hear that, never in the same place as my body, it's what I'm feeling from it is not being able to be present. Because if you're not present, you're not experiencing the oneness. And the oneness is being in your body, mind, soul, or whatever, however you want to describe oneness, or whatever oneness to you. And so never or feeling like you were never in the same place as your body, I can see how that could be really disruptive in life and confusing, and also even impact your identity, your roles, and your goals and your energy. I mean, it's no wonder why it started to affect you physically with palpitations and anxiety like or panic like symptoms, because you weren't experiencing your body at the time. And the body will start to alert you and alarm you when you are disconnected. And so, in this type of disconnection that you were in, this is when you made the realization and said, okay, well, I want to be where my feet are at the same time, my feet and my mind, correct?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
And when you made this realization, what were your next steps to hope and to plan to make that connection?
Yeah, when I realized that that's what the problem was, I started to study more, spend more time thinking about that. So what does that actually mean when I'm in a different place? So I found out that the big things that eat at me are worry, stress, fear, and anxiety. And I know worry and anxiety are similar, but I call those the four horsemen of my apocalypse, because those are the things that get me off track. And so what I find in having a ton of conversations with people, we find ourselves in one of two places. We are either stuck in the past with whatever's happened to us in the past, or we are worried about the future.
Right.
Those are the places that we hang out all the time, and it robs us of where the action's at. The
Yes.
action is right here. right now. You and me having this conversation, that's now. That's the
Right.
important thing now. If we're having this conversation and everything that happened in my day is running around in my head, then I'm half here, half there, or
Right.
maybe 75% there, 25% here. I want to be where the action is. I've always wanted to be where the action is, but now I understand that the action is when you are in the present moment and you are focused on what's going on, you are focused on the now, and life is so much more rich when we're where the action is.
Absolutely. Life is more rich because it starts to unfold right in front of you only in the present moment. It's not going to unfold yesterday or tomorrow. It's going to unfold in the present moment. And that's where true joy exists. And that is where you get to reclaim your life is in the present moment. Everything happens in the present moment. And so while you started to realize that being in the present moment was what was going to get you into more in an aligned state, what did you do to get yourself there?
Yeah, so I started writing about it. That was a huge thing for me. I had a conversation with my practice management consultant at the time, and I said, I am just getting beat down by the false sense of urgency. And he says, wait, what do you mean by that?
Hmm.
And I kind of explained it to him, and he says, you need to write a book about that, and then you need to speak to people about it. And so I describe the false sense of urgency as a background app that we have running in our brain.
I love that.
So basically, it just kind of hangs out in the back, but it's different from the apps on our phones. Supposedly, we can swipe the apps up and that
Hmm.
shuts them down. The false sense of urgency is really hard to shut down. It is the voice of should. It's a Sunday afternoon,
Right.
and while you would like to relax, you
Hmm.
should be doing yard work. You should be
Hmm.
planning for the week ahead. You should be doing this project. You should be doing something productive,
Right.
right? False sense of urgency is the voice of should. It's all those things that you don't necessarily need to do, but your mind tells you that you need to do that, and it pulls you out of that present moment. So coming back to the present moment, being with those who are in front of you, being with those who are around you, especially at the dinner table with your family or wherever you are with people, whether it's in a meeting, whatever it is, it's trying to be in that moment so that the false sense of urgency can't be battering you and telling you all the things that you should be doing instead. And so for a day, for me, people say, okay, this win the now thing, how does that apply to me? How do I do that? Well, for me, I am scheduled. My day as a dentist, I see patients 3 days a week, and my day is rigidly scheduled from 8 to 5. It is X amount of blocks of 15 minutes. And so for me, a now is a 15-minute chunk of time. So I tell people to break your day up into now moments.
I
Like
love
for us,
that.
for this hour, this now, it's this hour.
Right.
And so then what does a win look like in this hour? A win looks like us having a great conversation. A
Yes.
win looks like delivering value to the listeners. A win looks like the hope that somebody's going to get a light bulb moment when they listen to this and be like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been searching for, that kind of
Right.
stuff. A win for me in a 15-minute segment in my practice, I might be sitting down to do an exam for a patient. So a win might look like a great conversation with that patient. It might look like a good interaction between myself and the hygienist. It might look like when they're in my treatment room. It might look like a conversation that we have to help ease some anxiety before we do a dental procedure. It might look like a really good procedure once we get it done and everything's good. The reality is, I'm a win seeker, and I think all of us would rather win versus lose if we had the choice. The problem is some losses are going to come our way. Some patients are going to be grumpy. Sometimes a procedure is not going to go exactly how I want it to because teeth are teeth, and weird things can happen
Yeah.
sometimes. So when we take a loss, I like to note it. I always have a piece of paper in my pocket for notes. I'll just get it out, make a note about it. And then when I have some time, I'll come back to that loss and I'll ask one question: what can I learn from it?
I love
And
that.
then once I discover what I've learned from it, is it still a loss? Not
Hmm.
really. Then
Right.
it becomes a win. And when we start doing that and we start seeking out wins in the present moment, and boy, we can really stack momentum in our days. And once
Sure.
we've got a really good win streak going, if we take a loss, that's okay. We get right back on it and try to start another win streak. So it's a total mindset change for how we can try to get back into the moment and grab wins.
What if what if there's a lesson that what if there's something that didn't go the way a win day and you wrote it down and you're not able to figure out what the lesson is in that whatever went wrong moment? What do you do with that cloudiness, without that clarity?
Yeah. So there are times I have some of those things and I will put those. I always carry a notebook with me. I'm a pen and paper kind of guy, so
Yes, me too.
there's just something about hand and writing down gratitude and all those kind of things is just huge to me.
Sure.
But there are some things that I don't get answers for right away. And I note those in there and I will go back to them from time to time because sometimes that lesson isn't going to be a that moment, that day, that
Right.
week, that month. But sometimes if you ultimately can't figure out anything about it, you have to let it go. And
Yeah.
that's the crazy thing about control. We don't like that. It's uncomfortable to us.
Right.
But if we've searched it and there wasn't anything to learn from it, it's
Right.
time to let it go. It's
Right.
time to not allow it to suck any more energy from us than it already has.
Exactly. Because if you don't let something go, it creates a resistance, and that resistance creates a wall, and it becomes one of the hardest mountains to climb after that. And then you will forever be climbing and climbing and climbing the way you were climbing that mountain without having a reason up getting to the top. And so it just becomes this cycle, right?
100%. You said that perfectly. That's exactly right. And I don't want to let those things pull any more of my energy than they absolutely have to. I have X amount of energy in the day. We all do. We have things that help increase and decrease our energy. I love to talk about our body battery. So I don't know if you wear a smartwatch, but I'm a
I
smart
love that.
I'm a
Body battery.
Garmin. Yep. I'm a Garmin smartwatch guy. So one of the features is body battery, and it gives you a number from 1 to 100 based on a lot of things. If I've had a really good night of sleep and I didn't overdo it the day before, my hope is that I'll wake up with 100 on my body battery. But then it measures your heart rate throughout the day, and if you're stressed or whatever's going on, and that you watch that body battery slowly trickle throughout the day. And you know that if it gets pretty low at night, it's going to be an important night to really get a good night of sleep so you can get ready for the next day. And I just am not looking for things that just suck my energy for the sake of sucking energy at this point in my life.
And so you're being on purpose with your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you incorporate intentions when you're winning the now or looking forward to win or looking towards your day to win the now? Do you set intentions or do you just kind of tune into your energy and know which direction you want to head to? I guess that's an intention.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what I want the start of my day to look like. So I try to get up and spirituality is a huge thing to me. I like to read my Bible and have some quiet time in the morning, cup of coffee, and just start my day that way. If I start my day with my phone, it's really hard to be present the rest of the day. If I roll out of bed and the first thing I'm doing is going through social media and news and email and all of that kind of stuff, I really put myself in a bad position to experience peace during the day.
Definitely.
But if I get up instead with that intention that, maybe I'm going to do a little journaling, a little bit of reading, a little bit of quiet, any combination of those things, and just sit and slowly ease into the day, my days go a whole lot better when I do that.
Definitely, you're putting the most peaceful, joyful step. Your first step forward is your intentional step of wanting to be in the present moment. And by
Yeah,
stepping away from news and other things that can suck you in and absorb your energy and take your energy, deplete your body battery, which you don't need to be doing right at that moment. At that
no,
moment, you're recharging, you're waking up, you're hydrating, you're relaxing into your body to make sure that your feet and your mind all connect and to get your steps going for the day. And so
yeah.
how do you usually end your day?
Yeah, that's been a big change for me. I recently read a book called The Busy Brain Cure, and that was hugely important to me because I have a mind that can spin like crazy. We all do.
Yes, we do.
So I've really started paying attention to my turn down routine at the end of the day. I know that if I have my phone with me in bed at all, I'm not going to sleep well that night. I just know it. I just know it. I'm not an e-reader person. I like books. So usually what I try to do is have close to an hour before I go to sleep with no screens. That's a
Okay.
huge part for me. I try to, in my journal, I will write some of my wins for the day and then my top priorities for tomorrow, kind of a brain dump. Get those things that
Mhm.
spin around in my head, get those actually on paper so they don't hang out in my brain all night. And then I try to either do some reading or just some breathing before I go to sleep. And I find that my body is more likely to ease into sleep that way because I have tried to force myself to go to sleep for way too many years. I would lay in
Oh
bed
yeah.
with my phone, I would look at social media, go down video rabbit holes, all of
Oh
that kind of
yes,
stuff, and my sleep was terrible. Uh,
definitely.
but if I'm intentional about that turn down routine at night, I do a whole lot better. And we can't forsake sleep. We just
Right.
can't.
No, you
If we
can't.
want to be you hear some people talking about sleeping 4 hours a night and supercharging their day and all of
Yep.
that kind of stuff. It's not true. It's
Right.
it's a lie. It may work for a season. We've all had to do it for a season, but we can't borrow from sleep to try to make the rest of our day more productive.
Absolutely cannot. I mean, we need sleep to for all of our cells to regenerate and degenerate and grow new cells and for neuroplasticity and to regulate our nervous system and our circadian rhythm. And all that stuff is out, everything else goes out of whack. Our digestion, our cortisol levels rise, and we start to get stressed and all kinds of other stuff starts to happen to our mind body. And it's really incredible. And so you have a book on Amazon, and I just want to make sure I wrote this down correctly. It's called That Damn Analogy: How to Fill Up, Stay Up, and Impact the World Following a Few Simple Steps. Did I say this correct?
You said it right.
Uh,
Yep.
so, are you able to tell us some of these few simple steps?
Yeah, definitely. So I will give a little background on what the dam analogy actually is.
Yes, all right.
Years ago I was riding my bike on a Sunday morning, which I would do very often, and where we lived was a mile away from Iowa's largest lake, Lake Red Rock. And so I would ride across the dam, Red Rock Dam, on Sunday mornings. And one morning I rode across and I heard right in my chest, "We are the dam." I thought, man, are you low blood sugar? Did you not sleep well last night?
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? Well, it took me about 3 years after I heard it for the first time to really understand what that meant.
Mhm.
So we really are the dam. All we are doing in our life is controlling the flow of energy that goes through us.
I
That's
love
all
it.
we're doing. We have energy that flows through us. We regulate it.
I love this.
Yeah. So what I've found is that we're really good at the outflow part. We get stuff done. We get our work done. We put our impact into the world. We do those things, but we suck at the inflow part.
Right.
We are not good at replenishing our energy levels. So we're constantly running on empty. And what happens when we run on empty? We get burned out. We get sick. We have mental health issues. Now, mental health issues come from a lot of different things. You know this.
Right.
That's
Sure.
not why I'm saying
Yes.
that. But one of the things we do when we do not pay attention to our inflow, we are self-sabotaging ourselves.
Yes,
We are
definitely.
just, we're chopping ourselves off at the knees. So what happens is we are chronically empty is what happens. So a typical week that can happen, you wake up Monday and you're shot because you did an awful job of taking care of yourself over the weekend.
Yeah.
So you go to work and you're shot already 8 o'clock in the morning. And as you go, you just kind of, Monday is like ground zero. Tuesday, still pretty bad. Wednesday, you start to get a little bit of hope, right? Because the weekend's coming,
Yeah.
right? Then Thursday, we finally get to Friday. We're like, this is going to be the time. This is going to be such a great weekend. Then we make terrible choices over the weekend. Maybe we drink too much or we stay up too late watching videos or we eat a huge meal right before we go to sleep or any number of things. And then Sunday afternoon hits and oh, by the way, we got work again. We didn't take care of ourselves and we have a crappy Monday. We have to figure out a way to break that cycle. So one of the huge keys to doing this is figuring out what amount of time we have to refuel. So I would love to go on a week vacation. I get refilled like crazy when I
Yeah,
go
I
on a
bet.
1 week vacation. But how many of those do we get a year?
Right. Exactly.
So, okay, maybe we don't have a week. Maybe we have a weekend. Okay, what can we do in the weekend to help fill us back up? First of all, we have to identify the things that fill us back up. And on my website, I do have a list of refueling hacks, and it's 150 things that you
I
can
love that.
do to help fill your body battery back up. So maybe you don't have that week. Maybe you have a weekend. What can I do this weekend? Can I go away for a couple days, and just kind of get a little retreat and fill the battery back up? No, I'm too busy. Don't have a weekend. Okay, maybe I have a day. All right, what can I do with that day to help fill me back up? Nope, don't have a day. I'm too busy. Half day, hour, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. What if you have 2 minutes in between meetings? What if instead of pulling our phone out and getting our heads spinning all over the place, what if we just what if we go outside and walk around the block and just take a few deep breaths? What if we sit at our desk and close our eyes and focus on our breath for 2 minutes? Which of those things is going to be more refilling for you? You're going to look at social
Definitely.
media and your anxiety is going to tick up. You're going to drain even more.
Yeah.
Or you're going to take some deep breaths and you're going to start feeling like you're back in the moment and coming back to life. So it's all about how much time do I have to refill and what can I do in that time to help myself?
That's excellent. And you know what I'm also feeling from this, that if there are, and I'm sure there are many people, let's say they don't have the time, but if there is 2 minutes a day that somebody has, they will start to see the deliciousness of those 2 minutes and savor those 2 minutes. The next thing they'll give themselves 4 minutes and 15 minutes, and then they'll have a whole day to themselves because they'll just realize just how tasteful that was and how priceless that is at that moment. Because that's the
100%.
present moment. You're giving them the 2 minutes to be present. Just stay present for 2 minutes. Be
Yep.
with yourself for 2 minutes. Your best company is yourself at the moment. You're not gonna betray yourself. Only you're with yourself. Hold hands with yourself in those 2 minutes. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and when you start to do those things and you give yourself even little bits of self-love like that, self-love is not narcissistic. Self-love is seeing ourselves as worthy of being loved, worthy
Exactly.
of refueling, worthy
Yes.
of taking care of ourselves so that we can impact the world. That's what it is. If I have a full tank, man, I feel like I can change the world.
I know,
I feel like I'm
right?
just bouncing off the walls with energy. But if I'm empty, I got nothing to give. And
Exactly.
that's not fair to myself and that's not fair to the world because I have a message in me that I want to share with the world And if I keep it to myself and I make all these bad choices, then the world's not going to hear the message.
The world is not going to hear the message, and people will, if you don't speak up, you're going to create a disharmony within your body, and that in turn, that is a dis-ease, not being at ease with what you have to give. And so, how do people even begin to recognize what it is they have to give if they're not giving themselves any time to themselves?
Absolutely right. Very well said. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is awesome. I wrote this down. I just think it's really incredible to identify the thing that fills up your body battery, or it could just be one thing, it could be two things and three things, and next thing you know, if you don't know what it is, write down one thing, or just go back to the things that used to make you happy as a kid. I mean, you want to play Monopoly, give yourself, hey, you know what? I haven't played Monopoly in years. I'm gonna go play Monopoly with my neighbor for an hour. Bring back that childlike mentality, and you're going to start to realign yourself with joy and peace and be in the present moment, and
Yeah.
other doors, not windows of opportunities, will start opening up for you as well. It's really
Yeah.
incredible. I love that.
There is this lie that everything has to be bigger, addition. We if something's wrong, we add more, we do more, all of this. Sometimes life is about doing less, not doing so much, slowing down and allowing yourself to have some of those moments. I had a coaching client who was stuck. He says, I can't be present at home because I feel like I take all this stuff home with me. I said, well, how long's your commute to get home? I live in a small town, so this isn't the way it is for everybody, but his commute was about 5 minutes. That was it. And I said, I don't think you have enough time to decompress in 5 minutes.
Oh, no way, no.
And he said, no, I don't. And I said, well, do you have a 15-minute way to get home?
Great
Well, yeah, I
idea.
do.
Great question. Yeah.
So for a week, disrupt your routine, take the 15-minute way home. And he got unstuck just by that one little simple thing. We always try to think it's got to be big and grand. We got to have a week vacation. I got to have it. I got to have it. But the problem is you're so empty that it takes you 5 of those 7 days to get uncorked to actually enjoy it.
Right.
We got 2 minutes every single day to do something that makes our life better and makes us more valuable to the world.
It really does. We really do. And this is really incredible, Dr. Recker. I'm feeling pumped up.
Awesome.
I'm like, what am I gonna do tonight to fill up my body battery? I love this. I have to admit, I had one of these days yesterday where, I am on the go most of the time, being a professor and grading papers and then podcasting and doing everything, my one-man show, editing and doing all kinds of stuff. And then I got into the mode, and the mode yesterday was my body felt heavy, and like I just wanted to keep napping. And I was giving in. I was like, how am I going to get anything done unless I relax and take a nap? I mean, what's 20, 30 minutes? And that allows my central nervous system to relax and rejuvenate and repump itself up. And by the end of the day, I felt great again. So a lot of the times we have to allow ourselves and give ourselves a permission and say, it's okay to do this. Hey, it's okay. It's okay to do that.
Yes. And I love that you said that. I have found very few things during the day will actually tick my body battery back up. There are a lot of things I can do that slow how fast it drains, but finding some time during the day to just be quiet and just focus on your breathing, if you can do that for about 10 minutes, you can feel life coming back into you. It's amazing. And I can actually see it on my watch too. Naps are the best. I really struggle with naps. I'm not a good nap taker. I'm working towards it, but it's just hard for me to shut down my mind. But any of those things that you can do, I love the idea of that you brought up of going to play Monopoly for an hour with your friend or your neighbor. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Bring
It's
back those
okay.
things you used to love as a kid.
Yeah, it's okay to find joy in life. We should be seeking that out.
Those are the shoulds.
Yes, yes, you're exactly right.
Those are the shoulds, yeah.
Yeah,
Things that bring you joy is a should. That's the type of should you should follow.
you're right. You're right. My dad always said to me, don't should on yourself.
Yeah, don't should on yourself. And also don't must on yourself.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that
Yeah.
too. I
Mhm.
like that too. That's really good.
Yeah, musts. Those are pretty brutal. Those musts are very heavy.
Yeah. And we do it a lot.
Oh yeah, we sure do. We
Yeah.
do it all the time, actually, and we're not even
Yeah.
aware of it.
Yeah. I love it.
So hey, I want to share a poem with you. And so I wrote this inspired by you and your website and your Win the Now, which I love Win the Now. By the way, before I read the poem, so when I saw the hashtag Win the Now, I thought, and before talking to you and reading your website and stuff, I kind of was feeling into it and be like, what does this mean to me if I just see Win the Now? And right away I thought, well, win the now, the present now, because only now is all we've got. So what I'm feeling from Win the Now is what can I do to make now feel like it's a gold medal? And you're only going to win a gold medal if you're present. And so I guess win the now probably means to be present. And so I was really excited to ask you about that. And that's exactly what you meant by that. So that's really incredible. Win the now, win it right now. You can only win it right now.
Heck yeah. I love it.
Oh, yes. Awesome. So here it is. This is for Dr. Eric Recker here. All right, here we go. For what it was worth, or for what it's worth. I tried, I stumbled, I cried. I tried, I stumbled, I climbed. For what it's worth, I go, I try, and I get some things done, play with the seasons, drink some hot chocolate, and cover myself in my favorite blanket, enjoying the simplicities of life to gear me up to win the day. And I have won, for I am winning, even if little at a time. The sun smiles its rays on my face, and so I keep climbing. There it is.
Oh, I love that.
Great.
That's so
I love it
good.
too. It's for you.
That is so good. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
That's,
You're
oh,
welcome.
I love it.
Excellent. So Dr. Eric Recker here, he's got his book, That Damn Analogy, How to Fill Up, Stay Up, and Impact the World Following a Few Simple Steps. It's on Amazon. Where can our viewers, our watchers, and our listeners find you if they need to get a hold of you?
Yeah, my website is the easiest place, ericrecker.com. And I've got some freebies on there. I do a twice a month newsletter, 3 ways to win. It's just giving people ways to win and live life in the present. I also created a 5-day knockback burnout challenge for
Oh,
those
that's
who are
excellent.
feeling a little bit burned out. It's a great way to raise your hand and take the first step without having to actually say it to anyone. And then you can find information about hiring me as a coach or a speaker, all of that stuff. That's a good place to start.
Excellent. So nice to meet you. And so beautiful to connect with you, Dr. Eric Recker. Wishing you and your loved ones a beautiful day. And yeah, definitely let's keep in touch. We're all connected now on social media.
That sounds great. Thanks so much for having me. This has been great.
It's been a pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to A Little Less Fear podcast. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends and your family about A Little Less Fear podcast. And if you are interested in being on my show, feel free to leave me an email at a little less fear at gmail.com. Or if you have any questions or comments and you also want to leave me an additional message, you can also do so from my website, leaving an inquiry at www.alittlelessfear.com. You can get a copy of my book on Amazon, Amazon Kindle, and Amazon Kindle Unlimited, also titled A Little Less Fear. And thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate all the support. Leave me a review if you get a chance. I love to receive feedback, questions, and comments. And any way that I can be of support to you, please let me know. Thank you so much. I love you. Wishing you love, light, happiness, and many blessings your way.